meeting is being recorded.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Oscar Cepeda. I'm the Associate Planner here at the City of Porterville. It is 1:34 p.m. We're going to go ahead and start today's Project Review Committee meeting. I'm going to go ahead and do a roll call here from staff. We're joined by Jason Reidenauer, the Community Development Director. Again, myself, Oscar Cepeda, the Associate Planner. We're also joined by Jed Hackett, the Assistant Planner. We're joined by Javier Sanchez, the Engineering and Project Management Director. We're also joined by James Wickersham, the Chief Building Inspector. We're also joined by Michael Knight, the Public Works Director. We're also joined by Clayton Dignam, the Fire Marshal. We're also joined by Jeff O'Neill, the Interim City Planner. And I believe that is all from city staff. I'm going to go ahead and open up oral communications. This is the opportunity for members of the public to address the committee on any matter pertaining to project review. And just so the public is aware, the first item for today's meeting has been postponed, which is PRC number 2022-006 has been postponed for a future date. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and open up oral communications. Okay, hearing no comments from the public, we're going to go ahead and close oral communications. With that, we're going to start with the first item, which is item number 2, PRC 2022-008, which is for the portable battery energy storage system. As far as comments from the planning division, the only comments that we're going to have is in regards to the hazardous materials in the fencing that shall comply with our Portable Development Ordinance 300.03B1, which states that hazardous materials in fencing shall not be utilized outside of the Agriculture Conservation District. Proposed gate will need to substitute top spikes for alternative options. We also show some mechanical equipment there at the exterior of the enclosure. We want to make sure that any mechanical equipment is screened per our development ordinance. It does state that screening devices shall be consistent with the exterior colors and materials of the building to which they are attached. Also, comments from planning would be areas to be landscaped, which states that all required front and street facing side setbacks except areas used for entry and exit shall be landscaped. Unused areas, all areas of the project site not intended for a specific use, including areas planned for future phases of phase development, shall be landscaped or left in a natural state. Access to the unused portion of the site shall be prohibited by a curb, timber barrier, or other barrier not less than 6 inches high. So one question that we did have from planning is in regards to the oak tree that was there previously. Did it fall over or was it removed due to a disease?
I think I can answer that. Oscar, the oak tree, it's a combination of both mentioned, so it was diseased and fell over.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty much our comments from planning for this project. We're going to move it over with engineering.
All right, for engineering, we'd be looking at what the valuation of that project is, and then requiring public improvements accordingly. It looks like, yeah, the curb and gutter ends just a little bit east of here. So we'd have to look and see if proper drainage is able to be maintained, or may need to be extended to the existing match point.
Javier, is the equipment included in that valuation?
mm,
That needs to be considered on our project. Mainly
let's see.
battery storage equipment, not necessarily.
Yeah, that was going to be. It typically, well. We can take a look at that and see what the separation of costs are from, you know, built items versus the equipment being brought in.
I think usually the equipment stuff is more like, you know, TVs or ice cream makers or something in those lines.
Mhm. Yeah, this is a unique project because it's, you know, what's getting built is all equipment here.
Right.
Hi, good afternoon. This is Pam Chan. I'm the project manager for this battery portion. It will just be equipment that's there. This is just the preliminary site plan that we developed, but we are still working on the battery procurement. And once we select a vendor, we can actually move more forward with design and get something finalized with the type of equipment, the space, how much equipment will be in there, sizing. But this is kind of to provide an idea, and it will be something similar, but we just haven't gotten the vendor selected quite yet. Would it be helpful to provide maybe some examples of previous projects that we've done to give a better idea?
Well, like,
This is Clayton. I'm the fire marshal. I was actually going to touch on that subject when it gets to me.
yeah, if you want to jump in, Clayton.
Do you want me to go ahead?
Sure.
So mine's a little bit lengthy, and I want to kind of read all of this in so that at least it's read into the record. It sounds like some of this may be addressed as we proceed forward, but based on my initial research, this project is not subject to the application of Chapter 12 of the currently adopted California Fire Code and sections of NFPA 855, as it is presented to be for equipment associated with the generation, control, transformation, transmission, or distribution of energy installations that is under the exclusive control of an electric utility or lawfully designated agency. The following are requests made by the Porterville Fire Department as a stakeholder and initial responder to the project for emergencies associated with the installation, maintenance, and operation of the Smart City Demonstration Reliability Battery Energy Storage Systems. I'd make a request that Southern California Edison provide documentation to confirm this is an approved California Public Utilities Commission project. Project shall comply with the latest applicable codes and industry best practices for installation, maintenance, operation, and fire and life safety. I request that SCE provide documentation to confirm the project is currently and will remain for the duration of the life of the project to be wholly owned, maintained under the exclusive control of, and operated with regard to any equipment associated with the generation, control, transformation, transmission, or distribution of energy installations by SCE, a recognized electric utility or lawfully designated agency. I'd request that the project will comply with all manufacturers' recommendations for the installation of fire and life safety monitoring, venting, explosion control, alarm, and/or suppression systems. Further request that SCE provide sufficient documentation and cooperative training to the fire department personnel in the response to emergency events, including but not limited to any monitoring, venting, explosion, alarm, or suppression systems installed on the project, whether proprietary or not. Install signage that identifies the contents of the ESS should be placed to alert first responders to the potential hazards associated within the installation. Request that a fire hydrant be installed at the west side of the access driveway as shown on the proposal. The fire apparatus access road should be a minimum of 20 feet, and should it exceed 150 feet in length from the public street, required turnaround to comply with the currently adopted edition of the California Fire Code, and that it should be designed and maintained to support 75,000 pound fire apparatus load. And surface to provide all-weather driving capabilities, placement of fire extinguishers, address numbers, and a Knox access box for the gate. And then jumping down, this is where I was saying that some of this stuff may be covered as we move forward, but some questions and recommendations are, can you provide information regarding recent projects and their locations that would be similar to this proposal? I have a concern with the location and its proximity to a large shopping center. What quantities and types of storage batteries and battery systems will be utilized? Will there be access to training for basic energy storage systems or comprehensive energy storage system hazards? Are the fire and smoke detection systems designed to include sensors that provide information about the presence of flammable gases? Will there be systems in place to monitor toxic gas concentrations, lower explosive limits, or the conditions inside the ESS from a physically secure location? Will there be a redundancy system should the primary system fail that will ensure the fire department's ability to monitor the conditions inside the installation? Is there an internal SCE emergency response plan, and will it be provided to the Porterville Fire Department and updated as necessary for response to any incident? Currently, the NFPA advanced disclosure of the emergency response plan is not required, but I feel it would be in the best interest of the community at large, the first responders and SCE, to provide and offer training with regard to the emergency response plan. Does the ERS or emergency response plan provide adequate guidance for mitigating thermal runaway, fire, evacuation, and explosion hazards generated by the ESS? We would recommend that that plan be developed in conjunction with us, the AHJ, to provide comprehensive understanding of the hazards associated with the ESS technology of this size, fire service tactical considerations, the effectiveness and limitations of stationary gas monitoring systems, remote access to data from sensors throughout the ESS, and information to the fire alarm control panel remains uninterrupted. The procedure for emergency decommissioning best practices and the role of the fire service in an emergency situation. Will SCE and the design engineers provide fire service personnel with a potential blast radius and recommended evacuation radius for potentially explosive nature of the gases and vapors, vapor cloud formations, dispersion, and the dynamics of deflagrations and blast wave propagation? And will this project include deflagration venting per NFPA 68 or adequate mechanical ventilation per NFPA 69 to prevent accumulation of flammable gases above an explosive concentration? Will the project include a suppression system designed to prevent and extinguish any flame? And will it be designed to provide explosion protection? So that's kind of a lot packaged in there. You'll get copies of all of this with the proposal. But those are just some things in my research with these projects that I've come across, and questions and concerns that I have, recognizing that as the AHJ, specifically the fire code, is not going to apply, as well as sections of the NFPA.
Yeah, I think we can definitely address all those questions and concerns.
Fantastic, thank you.
Yeah, and this is Prajwal Gautam from SE as well. I think getting these questions upfront is really helpful for us as well, like then down the road. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the things that we'd like to look at is, are these other projects of similar size, are they located in towns and around shopping centers, or are they, as I've seen, mostly in desert areas or rural areas outside of concentrated homes and shopping centers and stuff?
I believe we have one right now that's in construction. It's not complete yet, but it's not in a very rural area.
Okay.
More probably
And-
similar to this.
And we
Yeah.
have had, this is Ed Kellogg, and we have had other projects in the past that were in residential areas. The Irving Smart Grid demonstration, although those were under older safety standards and do not meet your current NFPA, but there were no issues with those. But from other, related activities, the standards, all the fire suppression stuff that some of that you mentioned is included with one of our, at least one of our vendors answered those questions properly. So we will be, answering your questions in an ongoing process.
Yeah, like I said, there was no, supplier provided, manufacturer, so it was difficult for me to research specifically their product to see what it was that it contained. And some of this stuff that we run into sometimes is proprietary systems. And if it happens to be a proprietary system, we want to ensure that we have proper training to deal with those proprietary systems.
Understood, and extremely reasonable.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think
we also require the battery to be UL 9540A tested,
Okay.
which is a requirement that basically they have to do testing that the fire does not propagate from one module to the other.
Yeah, I know in some cases, I think they're using like in Germany, they're using a blanket technology, if you will, that covers the battery packs, and it essentially slows the rate of spread during a thermal runaway situation.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty much it for me on the fire side of things.
Sounds good. Thank you, Clayton. Moving along with building.
And so, for building, it would just be, submitting the plans, and then I had a question on the plan submittal. Would you like to submit e-submittal, or are they gonna be, paper copies? The reason I ask, well, we allow both, but, another reason I ask is, we're gonna ship this project out of town to a firm out of Fresno, Interwest. So if it is paper copies, they want at least two, and we want at least two. If it's e-submittal, we still want at least one hard copy.
That's fine. We can do whatever the city wants in that case.
Okay, well, I'll give you the information during the PRC comments when you get them.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, James. Moving along with Public Works was Michael Knight.
I don't have any comments this time.
Okay, thank you, Michael. Any other comments from staff to the applicant, or does the applicant have any further questions for staff?
No other comments for now. We'll review all the questions that you have as they come in.
Sounds good. After this meeting, we'll compile each department's comments in the letter. And hopefully we'll be able to get those out to you in about 2 to 4 weeks.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Moving along to the second item for today, which would be PRC 2022-009. New commercial construction for a CNG dispenser. Located at 11 East Yates Avenue. And from the planning division, I'm gonna go ahead and transfer it over to Jed Hackett, the project planner.
All right, hi guys, this is Jed with the City of Porterville for 11 East Yates Avenue, the new CNG station. Pretty standard comments for this one because it is an existing use. However, the big comment that we have is this property was previously developed as a service station in the county and then was annexed into the city. Within the city, we do require service stations such as these to have a conditional use permit. And since we are now expanding the use of this location, we're going to require going forward that they get a conditional use permit to legalize the nonconformity. Our code, well, we're going to look into whether we're going to require it. I'm pretty sure going forward that is what will be required for this one. Again, because according to the city's development standards, conditional use permits are required for service stations no matter what zone district they're placed in. And some of the conditions that would be attached to it would just be that the new gas station shall comply with our service station requirements, section 30105. And really those standards only apply as you have a washing facility, which this one is not proposing. So much of the standard comments are just going to be pretty standard along the lines of it's required, a conditional use permit is required. Please comply with landscaping and the signage operations as well as lighting. Beyond that, no additional requirements will be placed by planning.
Thank you, Jeff. Next up with engineering with Javier.
Let's see. So we'd be looking at the evaluation of the project, to again taking into account the breakdown of the improvements and equipment costs, and because typically what we do and looking at the improvements, excuse me, one of the driveways is pretty broken up, that west driveway. And then also the curb ramp there at the corner. It would need to be evaluated for compliance. So once the evaluation is provided, it'll dictate how much, if any, improvements need to be brought into compliance. But that's all engineering would have.
Thank you, Javier. Next up with building, James.
Yeah, so it'd be the same comments as the last item. And just submit plans, and I will I'll give you that information as well on how to submit, whichever way you'd like to go.
Okay, sounds good. James, next with Public Works with Michael.
Having a hard time getting unmuted. Apologize for that. Our only comment would be on the trash service to accommodate a 2-bin enclosure for general waste and recycling. I believe the property is already served with the backflow device for water, so no necessary comments there unless there's any additional service required for fire suppression. In that case, there would be an additional backflow device for that pending the layout requirements of the fire department. So all comments I have.
Thank you, Michael. And next up with fire department claim.
So essentially this project shall comply with the latest applicable codes and standards. I am going to request the installation of a seismic safety shutoff valve. It's my understanding this facility is not going to be manned 24 hours a day, but it will be available 24 hours a day for people. And it will have manual shutoffs that are required. But I'm just, it's a concern for the location and stuff like that. So, and I don't see it as being too much as far as a seismic safety shutoff valve be installed. And then the placement of fire extinguishers and NOx access to the property if it does not already exist, which I don't believe it does, since, as they mentioned, it was developed in the county. We would need essentially a NOx box installed with gate access that would allow us to access the facility in the event of an emergency.
Thank you, Clayton. Any other comments from staff for the applicant? Or does the applicant have any questions for staff?
Yeah, this is Chris Brown, Human Design. I just wanted to ask, is there going to be any landscaping requirements due to this development? There's not much out there to develop landscaping.
Would require them to landscape but non-conformity. They're just adding the two things in the adding landscaping would require them to tear up.
No, so far, we don't foresee any landscaping being required,
Okay,
other than, you know, making sure that equipment is screened from the public right of way. And there's different mechanisms that one can do to
Mhm.
screen that. But yeah, we'll outline that information in the PRC letter that we'll mail out to you.
okay, great, thank you.
All right. Other than that, again, Chris will be mailing out the comments from every department to the applicant in about 2 to 4 weeks.
Okay, great, thank you.
Before we close out, Oscar, just a quick question for the applicant.
Yeah.
Sure.
I was just looking, so it looks like you guys currently do have one refuse bin, so the comment stays the same. It would be a 2-bin requirement for recycling and the continued general waste bin. I don't show that you guys are connected to city water. Do you guys have city water out there, or are you on a well?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if Ravi or Tony know. They're both on as well.
I'm not sure. I'm sorry. This is Ravi Murthy with Chevron.
Okay.
Yeah, we would have to check into that.
That'll be a follow-up item on our part as well. So we'll do some more checking into that and confirm.
Okay,
Currently it shows water not being used, but refuse service. So we want to confirm what the source supply is for the operation.
gotcha. Okay.
Okay, sounds good. So thank you for the application. And again, we'll be mailing those comments out to you in 2 to 4 weeks.
Perfect, thank you.
And moving on to the last item we have today, which is PRC 2022-007, which is a new commercial construction for a grocery store located at, what's being proposed is demolishing the existing commercial building to be replaced with a new 20,000 square feet grocery store with adjacent rental suite to be located at 131 West Olive Avenue. As far as planning, let me pull up the site plan here. Okay. So one of our major comments is gonna be the location of the building. So the property is located in the downtown overlay district, in the downtown mixed-use zone district. It does require for the building to be at the minimum front yard setback, 50% of the length of that building. So we're gonna have to adjust or relocate this building up on Orange Avenue for the 50% minimum of that building length. Other comments that we have is in regards to pretty standard comments from the development ordinance. In regards to the landscaping area, the planters are shown to be 5 feet in width. The code requires for those landscape planter islands to be a minimum of 6 feet in dimensions. Also, requirements for the outdoor lighting for the parking area. One question was, is the grocery store going to sell alcohol?
Yeah, I think yes.
Okay, if so, that would require to apply for a conditional use permit whenever a business is serving alcohol or selling alcohol. Now, the property adjacent on the eastern border of the subject site is it's going to be developed as a future trail as part of the Rails and Trails project. We would require some type of pedestrian connectivity. A couple, either one up here and one midway through the development. I do know that there are 4 existing lots here on this property in which looks like we're going to be proposing some type of lot line adjustment.
Correct.
Right? Okay. Another major comment would be, just making sure the building complies with our downtown design guidelines in regards to, building materials. There's criteria in regards to the ground floor windows, limits on blank walls, wall plane articulation, building articulation. It outlines specific exterior building materials and colors that one can use for the downtown districts. The loading dock area. Want to make sure that is properly screened from residential uses and open parking. A way to achieve that is, having a CMU wall with maybe a landscaping planter on the exterior to have some shrubs, trees, even some climbing vines to give that screening. Parking. Looks like you meet the minimum requirements. I do see that you show parking up on the street side on E and Orange Avenue. In the downtown districts, you are able to utilize frontage street side for your required parking. But my only comment would be to engineering in regards to if there's already enough dedication.
Yeah, we have plenty more that I don't know if we'll need all of that.
Okay, if there's enough dedication to provide parking stalls on the street side would be my a question on both sides. If so, then that is possibly something that could be developed. Of course, our landscaping standards, make sure you comply with section 303. Building perimeters, of course, 20% of the building perimeter that's facing public right of way and parking shall have a landscape planter, minimum 3 feet in width. Of course, we went over lighting for the parking, shading, pedestrian lighting also. In regards to any fencing, make sure it complies with 20204. Fencing here on the eastern portion, you know, we would require for it not to exceed 4 feet.
Okay.
Wrought iron, to comply with downtown design guidelines. Any signage, of course, it's in the downtown mixed use, 2 square feet per linear feet of frontage for the signs. Again, any lot line adjustments has to be processed through the parcel action application, which is $616 for that with the city. Adequate title information in order to process that. Public improvements, of course, if it exceeds a certain valuation, they may require, you know, drive approach upgrades, maybe some street lights. Again, dedication, possibly, sidewalk improvement, street furniture. Since it's adjacent to a future trails, not sure, it'll be a good suggestion, possibly on this development, if they would provide some type of bicycle parking in order to help, you know, for that to be more.
It's gonna be, this is my own store. I'm gonna have to do it, everything professional.
Yeah, and it'll be great,
Yeah.
since we're gonna have a bike trail here,
That'll be in
a
the code.
trail, and
Yeah, it's
again,
gonna be- We have to have some, at least a minimum.
correct. But other than that, pretty straightforward on our comments from planning. Parking stalls, you know, they meet our minimum size, you know, make sure there's connectivity for the right of way from the front door. Also here in the back, I'm not sure by, again, adjusting this up here, would require a door in the back or on the side for that parking lot for access, not only on the sidewalk access here, but also from the either the eastern or southern portion of that building.
Are you talking about pedestrians to be able to access the building from? Okay.
Correct, because we're gonna require one from the right of way and also one from either the south side. That way, your clients that park are able to access it from the southern side of the building.
Okay.
And
Can I bring this up? Because I know that, and I know you don't have this, I can email this if you want to show it up there, but
in regards
to that comment about moving it.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I'm gonna show this to you guys here. I thought there would be more people, so I printed more, but this one shows it move towards the street.
So it's a great layout, but because orange serves as the arterial and the main street in this neighborhood, we would prefer that the store be oriented to orange because again, it's the arterial. It's where most of your traffic is going to be coming from. It's the streetscape that we want to have the most engaging streetscape on. So even with buildings, we'd prefer more orientation towards orange than to Southeast Street.
But having the whole parking on the back and the building in the front, everybody coming out with the carts, going all the way around.
Well, no,
Well-
you would have multiple access
Yeah.
points. You'll have one at up on Orange for pedestrians that are walking to the adjacent neighborhoods, and then also an access point for your clients that are parking their vehicles. It is in the code a requirement to have pedestrian access points at both ends. So it will be something as part of this development that will be requiring those multiple access points.
But if we do the frontage here,
Yes.
that would still, I mean, say that's not the front of the building, the front of the building is this. Since you brought that.
Yeah,
up.
if this is gonna be facing Orange, we're gonna require architecture articulation all up on both ends here to meet our downtown design guidelines.
What Alex is asking is what if the front door is right here?
Yeah, because
We still need to see an access point from the parking lot. as
no,
well.
that's fine, but if we have the main access from here to meet the requirement. Because what we're trying to avoid is if this building were to go all the way to the front, then there's no way we can have anybody park in the front.
Well, it would be minimum 50%.
Correct, but the way the layout works for him, it doesn't work to be 50% over there. It doesn't work that way. That's why it needs to be laid out in a rectangle shape. And having it in a rectangular shape and moving it all the way up, then eliminates all this parking. It's almost like, flipping everything in the back. And sure, we might serve people that walk but then we're eliminating everybody like 95, 90%.
Well, the other thing to consider is the downtown mixed use zoning is to step away from the auto-oriented development and emphasize the pedestrian activation in the neighborhood. This area, because it is serving as that entry point to downtown from the west, we do want to see a lot of pedestrian activation because it's serving as the focal neighborhood commercial center for that direct neighborhood. If you want to pull up
Yeah.
the map, Oscar.
The Google map?
Yeah.
No, that's understood, but what I'm trying to say is, and I think James was catching on to that, is we are required 2 points of entrance. So if this is one and this is another, then what is wrong with the location of the building this way?
Oh, because well, as long as you're able to maintain the 50% of the building up at that, that'd be fine, but we would still like to see as much of the orientation towards orange as possible. Because the other thing is we're trying to create an engaging district, and part of that is having as much of the building up on orange, because part of that is also getting the drivers of the street to slow down. When you have buildings pushed up to the setback as much as you can, you create this canyon effect for drivers, which encourages and forces them to drive a lot slower, which does increase the safety for the neighborhood, which increases the pedestrian activity, which is sort of the reasoning behind why we'd like to see as much on orange, because again, it's that arterial where we have cars going fast. Does that make sense?
No, it makes sense, yeah. Is this an arterial, it's considered an arterial
Yes.
street? Okay.
But yeah, we could work with you in molding this development in order to meet our code's requirements and intentions. But yeah, again, we could always,
Okay.
meet after today. But that was our major comment, is the location of the building. It's gonna be something that we're gonna have to iron through.
So yeah, as you can see, it sort of serves as that connection point from the western neighborhood into the southern downtown portion. So that's sort of why we want to have that engaging streetscape. Also, because orange does narrow from that wide, how wide it is there, to the skinny strip that it is on the other side of East Street, it would be a great feature for a building to sort of create that canyon effect to encourage drivers to slow down as it narrows in that area.
Well, we have to probably figure some ideas, but I mean, 50% this is almost 50% of the
Yeah.
building. But yeah, they still don't want it to be, even though we're meeting the 50%. So I guess we need to just make sure we're meeting
Yeah.
the requirement, but yeah, we're not just flipping the building and facing it, because that's not gonna work.
Because some of the behind the three lot is gonna be, it's
Go
gonna,
here, the
yeah, I mean, it's gonna,
the future development, yeah.
so it's gonna cross all the way on me, so it's gonna be hard.
Yeah.
For me to do this. For the
Yeah, I
trucks
mean, if
to
you
park
say
in.
that this is already 50% of the building, then we should be good, but if we can just confirm.
Yeah, so this is 121 feet and let me see. Just do this real quick. See, that's right there. That's right there. See, I lost my. See, it's more than 50%.
Okay, then we should be good, all right?
Now the requirement will probably be that we need to still have this.
Yeah, you would still need to have that pedestrian.
That's the front, basically. That's what we're saying.
That's gonna be the front facade for that building. Orange we're gonna have to work on some architecture articulation to that, to give it that feel.
Yeah, that's easy. That's the easy part.
So making some nice. Or.
Yeah, we need to just dress it up so it
Okay, dress it up
looks
as much as
good
you want,
from-
make
from
it
the
happen.
front and
Everybody
from the
else,
side.
it's okay.
A lot of makeup.
Yeah,
Not
makeup,
a lot of
because
makeup.
I'll be the makeup, okay.
But that will allow us to
Yeah.
have this as a secondary
Yeah.
entrance, which it's gonna probably be the most
Mhm.
for the people that do come to drive here, but at least we are, meeting that.
Yeah, yeah,
requirement.
it's okay, we're gonna do it.
And this is gonna be the new loading dock,
Yeah, and then we're thinking, that probably have a,
the
The
screening
ceiling wall there
screening
and all that stuff.
mechanism. Okay.
yeah, that seems to work a little bit better.
Yeah, after the meeting, if you're able to forward
Yeah, no, I will.
this
Yeah.
new plan, and then we'll mark it up a little bit if we need to.
Yeah, I think if we work together, we'll be able to get to, a beautiful project here.
And I'm here to bring a lot of business for the city, so it's gonna be, I have more than cover like 3 or 4 lots, it's gonna be apartment. It's gonna be new apartments, 2, 3 floors.
Have you considered, given the zoning standards for this allow
Yeah.
a 3.0 floor area ratio, have you considered maybe adding another floor or something to the proposed commercial structure or?
Above here.
No,
Because again, you do have the flexibility to go, again, 3.0 floor area ratio means you can cover essentially your entire parcel, 3 floors.
yeah, it's, I know Alex, he's the one who, I don't know about this.
We could do that. It just,
Because there is
Yeah,
definitely the
no.
demand in the area, especially that part of town, because residents do want more places where they can open up a shop or something. Because there's always more demand for more commercial
So
rentals.
mean that,
so that way you
Second
have your
floor.
business on the bottom and
yeah,
then
yeah,
people
yeah,
live
yeah,
above.
yeah,
And that way you're actually,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
actually going more
I have to
towards
think
what
about
a
it.
mixed use development should be by having multiple uses.
That's good. Let me think about it because I have this come of my family, It's
Right.
good too.
And that's great because
Yeah.
then that does accentuate further that street pedestrian engagement,
That's
creates
right,
a
yeah.
place where people actually want to come
Okay,
and creates a very nice feature for the neighborhood.
that's right. That's right. Let me see how it depends on the bank because we have,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, would there
Limit
be any restrictions for us to do residential above here?
Not on our end, but it would be mixed use development, which would require a conditional use permit, which we could process with the alcohol
Mhm.
sales as part of one application to include the mixed use development. But it's encouraged to have vertical development here in the downtown mixed use.
It's exactly what the general plan and the design guidelines would like to see. They'd like to see a lot of vertical integration, especially as the city grows. We'd like to see more development in downtown, specifically more vertical development than horizontal.
I mean, you can put a lot of,
Yeah,
You can
it's
do
it's a good plan, but it's I haven't talked to the bank. When we meet at the bank, we meet about shopping center, I
Mhm.
mean here, and here it's gonna be like apartments.
Mhm.
Already have the plan for the apartments, almost like a 40 units.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
gonna be still, when we've done this one, we have to move this one. We can't do one time on both.
And then just in the future, when this does get developed, we're gonna have require some
Integration.
pedestrian connectivity integration.
I think that would be great to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause the other thing about the design guidelines is for the mixed use district, it does outline for larger sites like this, it would like to see more of a campus style sort of development as opposed to distinct separate uses. So that integration would go a long way towards achieving that campus style development I'd like to see.
Okay. I'm all for it. I know that money.
Yeah.
Money
Yeah,
rules all, but
Yeah.
it would be a great addition to that
I'm
part of
gonna,
town.
have to meet again with the bank about this good plan to have a second floor, 3 floors.
Yeah.
Is more offices or wherever,
Mhm.
Let's see, let's think about this one right now, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna take maybe next week I have to meet you with the bank. Because right now only we have like, I told them about the store, and we have learned about the stores, and since we talk about the store, and they told me we have to meet, maybe next year we have to start this one for the apartment. So yeah, because I'm open like a couple stores in here, I'm gonna open a couple stores and more shopping street.
Yeah, so pretty much, that's our comment from planning. We're gonna move it on with engineering with Javier.
Hi, buddy. You know it's the land I sold them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I might be the guy that's tearing down the building. Have we got to that point yet?
No.
Give me that look, James.
Yeah, so
It scared me when you look like that.
So for engineering, we'd be looking at all the frontage improvements. Water and sewer exists there, so we'd be looking at decorative streetlights per downtown design guidelines. Those are the black decorative poles spaced every 40 to 50 feet. And then we'd also be looking at the improvements. So I'll have to get a little bit more info on that, and I'll include in the conditions, but the standard from the general plan is to create offset sidewalks. So it'd be, and then even with the existing improvements there, I'll have to take a look and see if those will have to be replaced. So that's all engineering would have.
One thing I did have a question because it mentioned dedication based on potential valuation. So, what triggers certain things, if you guys know? Because now if we are gonna go more above that, that valuation is gonna go higher. Does that mean it's gonna require more dedication maybe, or?
Are you asking road dedication? Because aren't those already full width already? Those aren't Ontario's, are they? The collectors?
Orange, it's oranges.
Oranges. So what's 82 feet on orange? What's it there now? Greg Shelton, Javier.
Hey, Greg.
Hey.
I'll have to look at the APNs, see what is existing out there. You know, I don't see any dedication on Yee Street needed, unless the 10 feet isn't there. And on Orange, we just have to look at that one.
It's a weird deal. They actually, 50 years ago, they deeded back some property to the property owners on East Street. So I assume it's full width now. I couldn't see what good it would do, because I mean, gosh, I mean, we could, I mean, we're not gonna widen it all the way down there to Walco. So why would we just do it right there? Feels pretty comfortable when I drive it. It doesn't feel tight.
Let's see. Oh, so I guess that we would need someone on E, because it's only 25 feet. 5 feet was abandoned for some reason. And so that would have to be dedicated back. And on Orange, it's 80 feet plus.
Just, are you gonna widen E, or you just want the right of way?
Just the right of way.
Okay, because there's poles there, and really not really too keen on trying to move those poles if we don't have, if it doesn't have to, you know what I mean? You're not asking for them to relocate poles or anything, are you?
Not usually, no. I think that's where the offset sidewalk would be a benefit, and that all that would be in the landscaped area, and the sidewalk would be behind that.
Right, and then it'll be what's commercial, it'll be like a 10-foot sidewalk.
Not necessarily. We've the new standards are just wider parkways and wider sidewalks.
Okay. So it'd be 88, no problem then, right?
Right. Yeah. So that's all engineering has. I'll just include some info on the Orange Avenue, if anything.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, moving along with building.
So, Alex, it'd be the same thing as all the other ones on submittal. Demo.
Yeah, we made a deal as to keep the building. I don't know if it's still on or not, but it's commercial. It's commercial, but I don't think there's any. I think it was built in the 70s. I don't think there's any asbestos there. So, but it is commercial, or it's mixed use. Are we going to have to do it as a commercial demolition project?
So you just got to get clearance through San Joaquin Valley.
So if they,
Whatever they say,
you're okay with it.
Yeah.
Did we have a date when that was built, that building? I think in the 70s, wasn't it? So
I'm not sure.
there's not much. There's some little sheetrock in there. But I don't foresee any of it happening. It's all pretty modern. No blackjacks. I don't see where there would be any asbestos. But like I said, okay, we'll contact and see what they make us do. But you don't have a problem as we get clearance from them.
Correct. Yeah. And we work with the Bakersfield office.
Yeah, I thought they were really easy. I dealt with them before. They're actually pretty cool down there.
Okay, thank you, James. Next with Fire Department, Clayton.
Okay, so for this project, it shall comply with the latest applicable codes. Based on the occupancy classification and proposed size, a monitored automatic sprinkler system shall be required. The sprinkler and fire alarm monitoring plans are required. For automatic sprinkler systems, underground plans must be submitted with above ground plans, no deferred submittals. When a sprinkler system is required, all valves controlling the water supply for automatic sprinkler systems and water flow switches on all sprinkler systems shall be electrically monitored where the number of sprinklers is more than 20. The FDC is required to be placed within 50 feet of a fire hydrant in an approved location. Where the conditions permit, the FDC shall be located no closer than 40 feet from the building. Fire hydrants shall be placed based on distance measured as the hose lays, not necessarily a straight line or radius measurement. And the distance is no greater than 300 feet for commercial projects. Where 2 or more hydrants are required for a project, fire hydrants shall be on a looped system. No structure shall be greater than 400 feet from a fire hydrant on a fire apparatus access road as measured by an approved route around the exterior of the facility or building. On-site fire hydrants and mains shall be provided where required by the fire code official. Depending on the location of existing hydrants and required fire flow, additional hydrants may be required. All hydrant locations shall be approved by the fire department. All hydrants must be in place and accepted by the fire department prior to any combustibles being brought onto the site. Fire apparatus access roads shall be a minimum of 20 feet and shall be provided with markings and signs to comply with currently adopted edition of the fire code. If the driveway exceeds 150 feet in length, but you're taking care of this when you're having 2 ways in and 2 ways out. So let's see. Yeah, maintain 2 entry, 2 exit points. And fire extinguishers, address numbers, and Knox box access. And that's pretty much it.
Thank you. Now, I forgot to mention this comment from planning, but due to it's a commercial development on a lot greater than 15,000 square feet, it will require to provide some type of plaza or outdoor seating area. Minimum 300 square feet for lots between 15,000 and 30,000 square feet.
How big is that lot? These are separate lots. Is this all going on one lot? Or are you
They're all
going,
gonna be lot line of adjustments.
okay, how big is it gonna be if you move that lot line adjustment around it? It'll be, you know,
Yeah, it'll be right. I don't know exactly.
well, I'm sorry. I'm
And
sorry.
I think it'll be a great use utilization with the pedestrian walkway
Bike,
connectivity,
The bike parking.
have a
all that
little
stuff.
plaza to kind of,
Yeah.
you know,
Like, there's one.
This is an area for people, yeah, chairs.
Yeah, yeah,
plaza
yeah.
or
You're gonna
outdoor
It-
seating
it-
area.
It's gonna be somewhere with the, with the mixture of trees and.
Yeah.
Have to make a.
Are you gonna sell hot food?
Yes,
You might have a little dining area, that would probably count.
Yeah,
right?
that could also work.
yeah, we're gonna have it inside, we're gonna have it here, around here.
Outside or
so-
inside?
Outside and outside too.
Yeah, that could count, wouldn't it?
Outside
So,
is gonna be like more than
too
15
much
chairs.
square- Yeah,
more
but
than
no, he's
15
gonna have a
chairs,
certain
because it's gonna be
size.
bakery.
Yeah.
Plus tortillas, plus a restaurant one time, so it's gonna have to have like seat inside.
Okay. Yeah, again, I just want to bring that up because I forgot to mention that earlier.
Okay.
The staff have any other? Oh, yeah, Michael,
Mhm.
Michael, Public Works.
Sorry about that. Still having problems with my mute button. The only comment I had was just the backflow devices. Looks like we're already accommodating the notorious 3-bin enclosure. So just be backflow devices for water service.
Sounds good. And I do see that the new trash enclosure does have
Yeah,
the
we have
landscaping
the-
perimeter.
It's gonna be doors too, the doors.
No, there's 3 now for the.
The 3 bins.
Yeah, that's what Mike just went over, the new requirement.
Food ones for the food, right, for the unused. food.
Compost, Yeah.
Does the applicant have any questions for us?
That's Alex.
Okay.
I know we're gonna be.
Yeah, so we'll gather every department's comments and provide them in a letter. You know, hopefully we'll be able to get those out to you in about 3 to 4 weeks. But yeah, any other questions, feel free to reach out. You know, we're here available to assist in regards to, you know, this development.
Get the thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
So that way, you know,
Yeah.
which way you want to go forward.
Okay, so yeah, so it's 2:34. We're gonna go ahead and end today's meeting.
James, what's that? Russell asked me what was going on. Are you applying some positions for some new inspectors?
Yeah.
Or is-